Hey everybody, you're watching
Cole The Cornstar.
If you're even slightly interested in farming or just want to watch a 21-year-old farmer get some stuff done, you're in the right place. Okay guys, this has been completely ridiculous. Everyone's been badgering me for an equipment tour video. Well, you know what? When people ask me to do something, I put my brakes on, so we're gonna do it. We got a lot of stuff to go through, so you better grab your popcorn, go to the bathroom, do what you gotta do. We're gonna be here for a little bit. Some of you, this is gonna be a flashback to the 80s. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but we're doing it anyway. All right, we're gonna start off at my house. This is also known as the main farm, or sometimes we call it Grandpa's. This used to be my grandpa's house, but he passed away last summer, and so I moved in here this spring, and so now we're at the transition phase. It's kind of awkward what we call it, but it's still known as Grandpa's, the main farm, my house, whatever, still means the same thing. On the main farm, we have three main buildings. We have the big machine shed, which is behind me here, heated shop, and then that building back there we call the white machine shed. The big machine shed. The big machine shed is 60 feet wide and 170 feet long. It has a 10-inch concrete floor all the way through the entire thing, and we use this building as flat storage. So during harvest season, we fill this from end to end, completely full of corn, and it holds about 120,000 bushels of corn. Once we get the big machine shed empty, then we put equipment in it. So right now, it's full of equipment. The big machine shed's been here for a couple years. It was built in 1986, and this has been a major staple in our grain storage system. This holds a lot more than all of our bins. To the side of the big machine shed here, we have an area that I call the south side of the big machine shed. This used to be completely full of junk. It used to go all the way from the edge of the machine shed all the way out to about where those augers are. But this is being cleaned up right now, and here in a couple weeks, this is going to be completely clean. It's going to be an awesome place to put all of our trailers and miscellaneous items that we need set aside that'll be organized. It'll be better than having them sit out here in the main driveway. I know some of you are going to ask about the door. Okay, here's what happened. So last year, before we knew my grandpa was sick, he was backing out the Bobcat skid loader from right here, and when he was backing out, he didn't realize the door was right behind the track, just on the edge, and he bumped it, and it knocked it off, and it's been there since. That's why it's on the ground. I do want to get this fixed. It just hasn't been on the super top list of our priorities right now. So right inside the door, we have some tools over here. We have the 1969 MG Midget and the 1926 Ford Model T. And then we have our postal digger for digging cremations, our 1993 Polaris Explorer 400 four-wheeler. We have a Case 1840 skid loader. This is our smaller skid loader. The way this building is able to withstand so much weight being in it is these cables here on the wall. So these cables here on the wall are utilized in the grain storing system. When this is full, grain actually goes up just about to where my finger is here on the wall, so we need a lot of support on the walls. These cables here are hooked around the main post of the building, and then it goes down to a spot in the floor where it can attach, and then we tighten those up. So every 8 feet throughout the entire building, there's these cables, and those give it a lot of strength. This is our 1991 Case IH 7140. It does have duals on it, but they're off right now because my brother was using this to mow hay with. This tractor is right at 7,500 hours and is an absolute workhorse for us. We used to run the planter on it, and it always runs the grain cart for us in the fall. My brother also uses it from time to time when he wants to mow hay during the summer. That brings me to the grain cart. This is our older Brent 674 grain cart. We've had this for at least 14 years, and it was used then. This thing has had some grain run through it. Then on the other side of the case, we have our 1981 John Deere 4840. This has just over 6,500 hours on it. We use this tractor to run the planter, as well as our other Brent 674 grain cart. A lot of people wonder why we run two-wheel drive tractors, and the reason is we simply don't have a use for a front-wheel assist tractor right now. Our 16-row planter is easily pulled behind these tractors. This one's 205 horsepower, this one's 180 horsepower. This old girl has 6,300 hours on it. Inside the real disc, we have our flatbed gooseneck trailer. This trailer is fairly light, so we don't put a ton of stuff on it, but we use it to move hay bales and miscellaneous random long objects. It's just really handy to have. And on the trailer here, we have our 2005 Bobcat T190. We pretty much use this every single day here on the farm. Since we dig graves for 18 cemeteries, this is absolutely imperative for having in the cemetery. The tracks don't tear up the ground as much when you're running in a straight line, because with wheels, you make a nice trench. The tracks spread it out nicely, so we really like this unit. We also use the skid loader to move hay bales, unload pallets, move seed boxes, anything like that. Dirt work in the yard, moving junk around, whatever. The skid loader, pretty much a utility machine, does everything for us. I'd talk about the telehandler here, but this is not ours. This brings us to our semis now. Right here we have my favorite semi. I don't know what year it is, I think it's early 80s, but it's an International TranStar 4300. This bad boy has some power. I've watched my grandpa leave a field with it, and I'm not even kidding you, I watched him pull a wheelie where both front wheels came off the ground. Pretty impressive. She's got a lot of power and she sounds really nice. We call this truck Old Red. So Old Red here is pulling our flatbed trailer. We use this trailer to load our backhoe on when we go to cemeteries that are further away. So we put our Bobcat skid loader on the front, and then we put our backhoe on the back. Behind Old Red, we have our other four-wheel drive Massey Ferguson tractor. This one's a 4840, 1982 I believe. This tractor used to pull a disc back when we ran 2 discs. So right now the 4880 is on the vertical tillage implement, and then this is on a disc to smooth out really rough spots. This tractor has just over 6,000 hours as well. Beside me here we have our 1995 Volvo. We call this the white Volvo or the white semi, and we have this hooked up to a 42-foot grain trailer. Beside the white semi we have my second favorite semi, which is the Freightliner. Freightliner is a 1998. This used to be an over-the-road truck, but then we bought it and we really like this truck. It's got a lot of power, it has a sleeper in it, we don't really use it, but sometimes it's nice to take a nap when you're in the field. Sorry about it being a little dark in here. And right now it's hooked up to our sprayer trailer. We call the Freightliner the gray semi. On the other side of the Freightliner we have our 1998 Volvo. We call this one the red semi. Super smooth truck to have. The Volvos don't have a ton of power, at least not compared to the International and the Freightliner, but they were affordable trucks for us to buy and they run really well, so we really like having them around. The red semi is also on a 42-foot hopper bottom grain trailer. Lastly, over here hiding in the corner, we got the grain trailer that goes on the Freightliner. This one is also 42 feet long. Now that we snuck out the back side of the big machine shed, we're right in the front door of the white machine shed. So the white machine shed, as you can see, has had a little bit of damage to it throughout the years. But in here, we keep the dump truck, the backhoe. Cooper's got a lot of hay that he stores in here. And then we just have some miscellaneous storage through here. This needs to be picked up, obviously, but we put our motor packs in here and stuff just to get them out of the weather. We also have our chisel plow just chilling in here. We don't really use our chisel plow at all. If we have a really hard compacted spot in a field like where we fill all of our semis from, then we'll run this across it to break up that hard pan a little bit. Fun fact, the foundation of this building that I'm standing in right now used to be an old barn. This barn used to be 40 feet tall, 40 feet wide, and 90 feet long. It got blown down in a tornado, so then we put this building up on it. All the wood in here is used wood out of an old building that got blown down in a tornado as well. My grandpa pieced it together, and he built this with his own 2 hands. I even think that the tin on this building was used as well. So here we have our sunflower chisel plow. I think it's a 5-shank, 12 feet wide, 14 feet wide, I don't know. Like I said, we don't really use this that much. These are the duals for the Case 7140. Here we have the backhoe. This is what we use to dig graves with. It's a Case 480C. No clue how many hours are on it. Probably a gajillion. Don't know what year it is. Probably old as a dinosaur. But you know what? It works, and it does a good job. Our dump truck here is a Ford F600. We use this dump truck primarily for hauling in scrap steel, but we also use it to put in dirt at the cemetery sometimes. If we know it's going to freeze the night after we dig a hole, we'll just bring the dump truck. That way we can dump it in here, then bring it into the heated shop. That way we don't have a big old frozen chunk of dirt when we're trying to fill the hole. This truck's been super handy for us. I don't know the year off the top of my head. On the other side of the dump truck here, we have the home to the infamous groundhogs. I caught 9 groundhogs in 2 weeks out of this single hole, but they keep coming back. I don't know what to do. Outside the door of the white machine shed here, we got my 1969 Jeep Kizer. This thing's pretty stinking cool. I want to get it running again so that way I can drive it around as a farm truck. I feel like I'm doing a lot of pointing behind me like this. I feel like Vanna White. Last but not least is our heated shop over here. Beside the heated shop, we have what's called the oil shed. We just have miscellaneous nuts, bolts, oil jugs, starting fluid, that kind of stuff hidden in here. And occasionally it's known to park a skid loader or a car. Here we go, let's go in the heated shop. Yeah, here's Daddy Cornstar's junk that he just kind of decided he was going to toss down right outside the door here. This building is an absolute mess. Over the years, stuff has gotten brought into here, and then it was all told, we'll go through you later, but then it never's been gone through. I'm really looking forward to getting this building cleaned out, because once it is, then I'm going to tin the walls, put conduit in, have nice lighting in here, then this is going to be a really nice shop to have. This building is 32 feet wide and 80 feet long. It was originally built as a cold storage building, but then later on we decided, hey, let's throw some insulation into it. So it's got closed cell spray foam insulation in, and we have a 10-inch pad of concrete on the floor. This building's heated by a furnace up there in the corner. These 2 machines right here are what we call groundhogs. We use these to dig graves when the ground's frozen. This is my pride and joy, my painfully dusty, weirdly streaked with dirt, 1998 Geo Prizm. I absolutely love this car. When it comes to the grain system on our farm, a lot of people think it's super sketchy, and well, they're right. But it's sketchy, but it works. This bin right here we put up in 2013. It's a hopper bottom bin. It holds 18,000 bushels of corn. Super handy to have because this bin right here is our wet holding bin. So when semis come down the driveway, they drive over our homemade pit here that may be full of rotten corn right now. But then we're able to open up our hoppers, and then we run it through the augers here, and we'll have another auger set up here, and those go to the leg, and then the leg feeds that. So we're able to store corn in this all day. It runs continuously feeding the dryer. Normally the dryer goes right on the other side of this auger, but currently it's way down there in the weeds just chilling out. So this bin right here used to be a 25,000 bushel bin, and it was in pretty good condition. But recently it started becoming very dangerous to have full of corn. Sheets here are crinkling, and as you can see, these are vertical sheets instead of horizontal ones. So we're not able to fix this bin. This bin needs to be tore down. Beside that bin, we have our 50,000 bushel bin. We call it the big bin. We got a little 6,000 bushel bin beside it. Don't really use that bin anymore. And then here we have what's called the cooling bin. This bin here holds roughly 14,000 bushels. So you may be wondering, how do you fill the big machine shed then? Well, once we cool the corn in the cooling bins, then we're able to take an auger that sticks literally right out the door, and it runs into this auger. This auger here takes it up into the big machine shed where we have an auger system that runs up into the rafters all the way down the entire length of the building. That's how we fill it. Last but not least, we have our 32,000 bushel bin. We put this up in 2013, back when we put up the hopper bottom and the leg. This building over here was the original heated shop on the farm, but it is completely packed full of junk right now. It needs to be gone through. And then we have my house. This is the view from the road, and this is the view from the front of the house. This home was built in 1917, and back in its day, it was an absolute show place. Right now, we're working on bringing it back to its former glory. All right, that pretty much sums up the main farm here. Now we're gonna go down the road to the next place. So over at the main farm, the field right behind the house actually attaches to this field right here. This is actually my mom's field. So my grandpa bought his first field, which was 120 acres. My dad bought his first field, which was 80 acres. And then my mom bought her first field, which was 40 acres. And they all touch each other, so now it's one big field. So if we continued down this windmill road till we hit corn, we'd hit my grandpa's 120. This section right here is my mom's 40. And then right under that windmill there is my dad's 80. And then right across the road here, we have a field we call Tabletop. We call it Tabletop because it's flat. Tabletop is 97 acres, and it's a really good farm. This right here is one of our rental houses. We call this place Luke and Ashley's. Usually when we refer to this farm here, which is my mom's 40, we call it Luke and Ashley's. But then if we're closer to my house, which is just right over there by that windmill, then we call that Grandpa's. And if we're under that windmill, we say we're by Dad's 80. Sometimes we fill these two beds with beans. This bed holds about 5,000 bushel and that one holds about 3,000 bushels. Here in the barn, we put both of our discs. The disc in front is a white 272, and that one's 28 feet wide. And then the other one is a Kraus, and that one's 33 feet wide. The renters always hate me because I always drive through their yard. And then we have this 32 by 32 machine shed over here, and Cooper mostly just puts his hay equipment in there for the winter. Now we are at the Champion Seed Field. This field right here is our biggest field. It's 320 acres, so it goes the entire mile across, and then it's a half mile wide. There's a line right down the middle because we bought it in two different farms. So this side's 160. We call it Kristen and Rusty's. And that's the house we're going to next. So this is our other rental house. Down in that building down there, that's where we keep our corn head and our bean head. I'd go in there and show you, but it's kind of dark. And I'm scared of the dark. We have an 8-row corn head. It's a 2208 model if you want to look up a picture of it. Our bean head is a 30-foot head and its model number is 1020. So if you want to look that up too, be my guest. Over here at Kristen and Rusty's is where we have our two bean bins. These bins both hold 12,500 bushels each. They both have false floors, meaning they can both have air blown on them, and they both have floor unloads. These are really nice bins to have. We'll climb up here and get a little better view. We call this place Kristen and Rusty's because, well, people who live in this house are named Kristen and Rusty. So in this little shed here, we have a bunch of hay that Cooper stores. Yeah, Dad did that. He needs to clean up his mess. And normally we put the planter in here. But right now we have our Massey Ferguson 2745 on our grain vac in here. This tractor's got just over 5,000 hours on it. It's kind of an all-around utility tractor. We don't use it a whole ton, but it'll run a rake, it'll run a mower, it'll run the grain vac, it'll run an auger. Basically just a bunch of small jobs that need to be done. It's nice it's got a cab on it. And then we have our seed tender here. With this, we put our pro boxes on it full of seeds, so then we can fill our planter with that nice and easy when we're in the field. Right here to our right, we have our smallest field. We call this field Randy's. It's 3 acres. Guess why? Yep, the guy who lives there, his name's Randy. He's my dad's best friend. And so he didn't want to have a huge yard, so we just farm his yard, basically. Okay, this field here, we call it Campground Field, or the south side of Bill's. This is 50 acres over here. The reason why we call it campground is because we used to camp in this field for fun. Over there where those silos are, that's Kristen and Rusty's, so this is Bill's. So this is the other half. This side's 160 acres. This is more of our hillier ground, but I really like this field. It's always a big underdog. You can probably guess why these farms are called Bill's. And the reason why is because the guy that we bought them from, his name was Bill. Okay, here we have two farms side by side. On this side of the creek, we have the Bush farm. This farm's 120 acres, got 3/4 long mile rows, really nice field. And then on this side, we have the Hanson farm. And this field, for this section here, the rows go an entire mile long, and that field's 77 acres. Once again, they got their names based off the people we bought them from. This next field here we call Mary Lou's. So we have the north side of Mary Lou's, which is 90 acres. And then we have the south side right across the street, and this is 160 acres. Call it Mary Lou's because the lady who we rent it from, her name's Mary Lou. Oh yeah, one of our farms is right by a John Deere dealership, so we're gonna get out and look at the new S680 real quick. Man, that thing's a tank. Look at those tires. Whew. So this field here we call Dick and Lee's. So Lee's side is over here, a little bit of Dick's is across the creek, and then the rest of his is on this side. This is a 145-acre farm. Oh yeah, it's named Dick and Lee's because there was two brothers who own it, and so one of them's name's Dick, and the other one's name's Lee. So down here we have what's called the town farm. There's 25 acres here, then across these trees there's another 25 acres. So it makes that 50 acres. There's a little better view for you. Totally forgot to record myself pulling into this field. But this is south of town. There's a little bit of wet spot right here, that's why it looks so yellow. But there's 73 acres back here. This field is basically completely surrounded by trees, and it's a really, really awkward shape. You always see a lot of deer, turkeys, squirrels, raccoons, possums, coyotes, things of that nature always running around over here. We're gonna continue on this road here for about another 6 miles and head back towards my house. All right, this is our last field here. We call this Orland's farm. Orland is my great uncle, and so this is his farm. That's why we call it that. It's 107 acres, very nice farm as well. The building site up here is his too. I'm super silly, I completely forgot about two fields. So over here we have my parents' house, and then we have the main heated shop. So I refer to this place as going to the main heated shop. This field around the house here, we call it the field around the house. I don't know why, but we do. And this field is just about 80 acres. Then right across the road here, we have a field we call the Big Hill Farm, and that's 110 acres. Right there on the horizon, you can see the backside of the Hanson farm, and then poking on that horizon over there is the backside of the Bush farm. Okay, now we've gone through every single field. Yeah, so we got the infamous main heated shop here. Over here at the main heated shop, we have my parents' house, and that actually used to be what we would use to work on stuff in the winter time. I don't know what you'd call this garage. In there you could probably pretty easily fit 7 vehicles if you wanted to. So half of that is a heated floor, and then there's also a furnace in there. So, but back to the heated shop. This building right here is 50 feet wide and 100 feet long. Let's see what's in here. Probably open the door. Oh, smells like rotten beans. Wonder what the culprit for that could be. Lawnmower, Cooper, running through some beans. Open the doors. The shop here took us several years to build, and the main reason behind that is because we built it ourselves. So we have a neighbor who lives just down the road, and he's a really good carpenter. So him and his brother, or him and his 2 brothers, would come down on the weekends, and they would help us with all the technical stuff, and then we'd do the dumb guy job, basically. And so that's how this building was built. And we just finally got it done this year, actually. So it only took 8 years. It took about 5 for most of the structural stuff, but the wiring things, we just finally got that wrapped up. Got a foot-thick floor. The floor is heated in here, so the entire thing is like one giant radiator. It's stinking awesome. We keep it at 62 degrees in the wintertime, but it feels like it's 72. You can walk around in shorts and a t-shirt, and you're very, very comfortable. When my grandpa was alive, he would actually walk around in his socks because he said it made his feet hot. We built a foundation on this building, so it's sitting all on a footing, and then it's a stick building actually, so every 16 inches we have a rafter, and then we put hurricane supports on it and everything, so this is one stinking solid building. So anyway, we got the power washer in here. We have a drain right along the edge. The floor actually slopes 2 inches from one side to the other, so all the water runs to the drain. We'll start the equipment off in here with my motorcycle. This is my 2003 Kawasaki Vulcan 800. And then right here we have our trusty Z850A John Deere lawnmower. It's got a 72-inch deck. This is what we use to mow all of our yards with. We spend a ton of time down here in the shop. We work on all of our stuff ourselves besides the super complicated stuff. So when we need to work on something, we bring it down here. We've got a torch, we've got a wire welder, we've got a welder, we've got a nice vise, we've got a bench, we got as many half-inch wrenches as you can imagine. So we can basically do 95% of everything. And it's kind of nice having this place because when Dad gets in trouble with Mom, he just comes down to the shop. On the lawnmower, we have our planter. We have a 6180 white. This is a 16-row planter. I believe it's a 1993 model. We have row shut-offs every 4 rows. It's a really nice planter. We like how it plants Just this one's got a little case of the finickies in it, and so some of the wiring can be a little sketchy sometimes, and it doesn't always want to unfold. Not perfect, but we make it work. Ho ho ho, what do we have here? This is our 2005 Hagie STS10 sprayer. STS stands for single tank system, and the 10 stands for 1,000 gallons. They have 10s, 12, 14, 16, each respective to 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, 1,600 gallon tanks. So this is the little guy, got a 90-foot boom on it. We spend a lot of time in that machine. During the spring, it just feels like I live in the sprayer. It does need to be power washed up. It's a little bit grody looking right now. And here we are with everybody's favorite tractor. Now don't quote me on this, but I think this tractor is a 1965. It's an Oliver 1950. No, I have no idea where the side panels are. I guess my grandpa just got tired of putting them back on every time he had to take them off, because he must have been taking them off a lot for some reason. When it comes to hours on this tractor, Dad said in 1987, that tractor had over 10,000 hours on the hour meter, and since then, I don't know what happened to the hour meter, but we run the absolute snot out of that tractor. It's a good tractor. We're gonna knock on wood real quick, if I can find any. Here we go. We run this tractor mostly on the grain vac. And occasionally we'll run it on an auger. We got our pull behind sprayer here for the 400 four-wheeler. Back here in this corner we have a Suzuki Quad Runner 250. It's a farm four-wheeler. We use that to get around in the fields. And then we have Cooper's Honda 400EX. I believe it's a 2005. It's a big wheelie machine, a lot of fun. Oh yes, and how could I forget the combine? Our combine is a 2001 Case IH 2388. This is a class 5 or 6 machine, however you want to categorize it as. It's somewhere in between there. We'll call it a 5.5. But it's been a really good machine for us. We've had it for 14 years now, so this is going on its 15th crop with us. We're hoping there's a lot of life left in that combine because we really like the machine. I almost completely forgot to mention Dad's truck. This is what Dad uses on the farm. It's a 1998 Chevy 1500. It's got 165,000 miles on it. There you go, guys. Now you understand all the building lingo that I'm talking about, or when I say I'm going here or to this farm, that farm, you know exactly where we are and you know exactly what's going on. As for running older equipment, we really like our equipment. We like the fact that we can work on everything, well, most things, and we don't have to take it into somewhere that charges $125 an hour to work on it. We can pull it into our shop, we can expand our own knowledge horizon, and then that just helps us, give us something to do, because we're farmers and we only work 3 months out of the year, so we always need things to do. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Now you know kind of what equipment is needed to farm 1,700 acres in central Iowa, and you have a little bit better feeling for who I am as a person and what we work with and how we approach things. So if you guys stay tuned for more videos here, you'll see all this equipment in action. We use every single piece of equipment that I showed today. What else? Oh yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you liked the video, please give it a big old thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, write it down in the comments. I read absolutely everybody's comments, and I get back to as many as I can. Don't forget to subscribe, that way you'll be notified when I post new videos. And also, I have an Instagram, so if you want to see behind the scenes stuff that nobody gets to see besides my Instagram followers, well, you should probably follow my Instagram. The link is in my video description, so you just gotta click on it and you can hit follow. And then on my stories and stuff, I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.